Can you talk about the roaring silence?
You know, when we enter into that space of consciousness, it's so complete. It's so full of love. The silence and the vibration is what sustains us. And that's the unmanifest. And it moves out. Because everything's the same. It's not that there's inside and outside. There's just that. There's just that. But when we start creating consciousness or experiencing our natural consciousness, we have glimpses of silence. And then we start to have long periods of silence without thought. And the silence becomes loud if you're there in that moment. And then we start to create that silence outside too, even within the noise. It moves in. So that peace is everywhere, all the time, within the chaos. And I call it the roaring silence because it's louder than the noise. It's the most powerful thing there is. That consciousness, the unmanifest, the manifest, all of it's complete, perfection and whole.
Slowly, I have been pushing myself to expose more. But I can see that I still have this fear. For example, being now asking you, I feel like this looking to do it well and not receiving a strong reflection. My question is how to continue pushing myself to let go of that expectation of whatever is going to come towards me and to be more relaxed with it.
Well, you know, to be in your truth is not to have an expectation. And you have to allow it to come. You have to allow it to come. And with that energy, you just move into action. You speak your truth, you show yourself, but it comes without thought. It's just about cultivating this muscle where it becomes the most important thing. My consciousness, my truth, my clarity, letting go of my image, stop looking for external approval, just being free to be me. And that's when you really start to shine. Because when you put everything through the computer, it never comes out with clarity. It might come out precise, or interesting, or intellectual, but it doesn't have the same energy. Because when there's no image involved, everything's like this. It's like a sword that cuts through. It just cuts through. And it stops the heart. It stops the heart. Everyone listens. They're like this. And you have to get to that point. So, to get to that point, you have to stop worrying about what other people think. It's about what you're giving and you being true to yourself. Yeah. It's one of the hardest things for humans to do. It's one of the hardest things, which is crazy. The last thing we want to be is ourselves, to be real, because we don't trust. And you're learning that here. You're much more handsome. Hasn't he? He's really changed. Yeah, very cute.
I saw that with the seduction, it's like this thing of trying to get something. And it was exhausting. Why seduction is something that takes from our consciousness or adds?
So, when we're young, we learn to seduce. We learn to seduce, to please, to receive what we want. We learn to manipulate. And as we mature, I can only talk as a woman, we learn what our powers are, and we use that power to manipulate men to do what we want them to do. It's something we learn. But then it becomes so emitted that we're not even conscious of it. And the thing that's really interesting is lots of women are seducing and then they get offended because someone looks at them as a sexual object. You know, this is the irony. And men do it as well. They learn how to get what they want by using their sexuality, by using their attraction. And when you start to love yourself, you open to deserve. You don't need to seduce. If you need support, you just clear. And you speak the truth. And if you're seducing, it's something real. It's a dance, no? It's a sexual dance that has a resolution. It's for a purpose. It's not the idea of something to get what you want. And I think sensuality comes from that experience. When you have the seduction, but you're giving from that space. You're sharing. You're being intimate. And it's not an act to be sensual. To be sensual is to give, to be feminine, to care, to be slow, whatever it incorporates. So they're completely different energies. And some people are very sensual with everything, but it's not an act of seduction. It just is. And there's a very distinct difference. If you're using your sexuality to take, or you're using your sexuality to unite, it's a very different experience. And it comes from maturity. It comes from maturity. And valuing oneself.
In one of the commitments, you talk about let go of the attachments and addictions that give us as a false sensation of love. Can you talk about that process?
You know, anything we have to attach to isn't love. It's not unconditional. It's the same with addiction. We attach to it. They're two sides of the same coin. Addiction, attachment, it's all external. Always the external. And when we start to love ourselves unconditionally, we start to let go. We start to love ourselves so much that we trust. And that's what's important. That internal security, that internal love that nurtures that experience. not looking for addictions, not acting through fear. You start to see what serves to nurture your experience of consciousness. And it becomes the most important thing. My consciousness, me loving me not abandoning myself, me nurturing me, loving me, giving the best to me. And as a consequence, I give that to everyone. No? It's all the same thing. The commitments are so clear. They're just the actions of love. They're the actions of love. Love's always giving. Love's abundant. Love doesn't control. Love doesn't steal. Love is not greedy. Love not is fake. Love's just love. And it's like this.
So during my process, I connected a lot with the aggression of my mother and the violence. And today I also connected with my own aggression. And it was very painful. And I felt ashamed. And I have big judgments with that. And it's difficult for me to love myself knowing that I have, that I internalized this aggression. How do I deal with that?
Every human has that. And that's the beginning of freedom. Because we see it. I am that, I am that, I am that, I am that. There is nothing that I am not. All humans have that. And you just have to embrace that. It's part of being human. Yes, you have violence. Yes, you could kill someone. And what happens with that? When you stop judging it, you have compassion. Because you see yourself everywhere. And those behaviors that are based in protection start to diminish. Because all those behaviors come from fear. And as the love expands, what happens with the fear? It evolves. It evolves into unconditional love. So it just is. And you've got to stop judging it. If you judge it in you, you judge it in everyone. And whatever you judge is you. If you judge something externally, it's you. Then you know you're free. Once you let go of that, you don't judge anymore. So start with letting go of the judgments with yourself. Yeah? Good. And don't look at me with this face of, oh, I'm so evil. You don't know the evil things that are inside of me. Like, you know, you swallowed an alien or something. Or Satan was jumping out of your body. You just got a bit of violence, who cares? You and the rest of the world.
I know I identify a lot with what I do. And when you told me yesterday in meeting, I feel it has a lot to do with that, to be a victim of my work. So I want to ask, in the world where we live, many hours a day, how can we stop identifying with that, with what we do?
You got to stop thinking about it. What does it matter? It's not about work. It's about what you enjoy. But you don't have to identify as being that. That's what you do. It's not who you are. You're much bigger than that. It's an aspect. That creativity, that's an aspect of you. And if you're enjoying it, fabulous. There's nothing wrong. But you need to be very clear that you are your consciousness. And that has to be your first focus. Because it's that in action. You know, you're privileged because you work in creativity. So it's very easy for your consciousness to flow when you're creating. And you have to enjoy that. The aspect you need to focus on fixing within the material world is not being a victim of victims. You've got to be clear about what you want and what you deserve. That's it. And everything will start to open for you. You've spent 6 months saving yourself, expanding your consciousness, letting go of the rubbish. Don't go out and start saving everyone else. Just give your consciousness and let go. And be clear about what you want. And move into action. Simple. Life's simple. When you stop saving and stop looking for approval. You see my teachers when they reflect to you? They're not trying to save you. They're just empowering you. Whether you like it or not. They're empowering you. Because they're empowered. And you're going to be facilitators. And you have to empower people. From love, no? It's time to change. Because the greatest thing you can give to people is the truth. But the change is their responsibility. And usually they don't want to change. Oh well, así es la vida.
Because the kind of work I do, I can see there is a lot of luxury, fame, money. And for me, it's super easy to get lost there. It's very attractive. Lots of parties. Can you talk about how to avoid to get lost in that superficial world that is offering so attractive things and not getting lost there, disconnected of myself, if that is so present in my life all the time?
You know, the most important thing for you is to just keep anchoring in your consciousness. There's nothing wrong with the fiestas, or the people that are famous, or the riquezas. It's all perfect, but it's what you're being within that. You know, if you're consuming lots of toxins, if you're suffering, if you're falling into your addictions of attachment, you have to keep coming back. And you have to remember, you can't enjoy that permanently if you don't have this. And if you have this, you can enjoy everything without abandoning yourself. But if you keep abandoning yourself, and then you have to move everything out of your body again, and then come home to you. So you have to find a balance. I mean, that's why you come here, obviously. You get very lost in your addictions, this man or whatever. And it's okay. You'll find a balance. Because there's nothing wrong with your life. You have a fabulous life. But you have to find a central point. And I don't think you value yourself enough. And this is the problem with extreme glamour. You know, there's always more. Always more. But it's as if you don't see how fabulous you are. But if you focus on your consciousness and you're loving that, it's far superior to anything else. Do you understand? Once you give true value to your consciousness, you'll see how fragile everything is. You know how fragile it is, how insecure everyone is. Everyone's using drugs to feel secure, or drinking to feel secure, or everything's about covering up my insecurity. But you have the capacity not to be insecure. It's just when you let this rule your life. Because consciousness you have.
In a previous Darshan, you said that it's more common in women to rescue. And I got identified with that. Because I want to be rescuing men.
You know, women are very nurturing. They hold everything within. They're mothers. They're caretakers. It's natural for women to be like that. You know, men are out conquering, achieving, doing. That's the stereotype, no? But it's a natural thing for women to take care. It's very rare that you meet a woman that's not a caretaker. We're like that naturally. And it's a very beautiful aspect of women. And women in power, with that aspect, they're fabulous with that aspect. Because we care profoundly. So it's not a weakness. It becomes a weakness when you lose yourself. You lose yourself in saving someone else instead of being empowered and empowering other people. That's the difference. To be empowered and to give that power from that feminine aspect can change the world.
The last years I took distance from the artistic environment because my judgments and ideas about it, all the things I didn't like there. And I was moving that a lot here. But I continue feeling that I don't have clarity about if it's something I don't want in my life or I'm closing myself, shutting down to another spaces, another opportunities.
You know, it's very easy to box something. It's like that. But is it? If you're an artist, if you're creating, if you're giving, if you're enjoying, if you're in your divinity, where is there a higher choice? You lost yourself. You were affected. You can't change other people. You have to do it from a different space and enjoy what you do. Because there's always an excuse. There's always a victim. It doesn't matter if you're in politics, if you're a dancer, a singer, a mother, a farmer. There's always an excuse to quit. And you have to see that. and let go of the boxes. Because everything reflects you. You were seeing yourself. And you put it in a box. And you close the box. And you need to open all the boxes. And open and do something from your heart. Don't not do something because those people are like that. You know, it's like Helen. She's not going to change her life. She loves that aspect of her life. It might be superficial. Who cares? Everything's superficial. It doesn't matter. What's important is what you're being. Yeah?
When we are taking expression, happened to me this time that I feel the power of being from the heart. But then it's very easy to leave myself again and see so much judgment.
Judgments with yourself or judgments with the world? Okay, so just don't allow it. Stop questioning yourself. You give a reflection, you let go. New moment. Give a reflection, wash it through yourself. If you need to let go of something, let it go. It's so quick. You know, why do humans have to complicate everything? Oh, I did this, didn't work, shit, now I change. Easy. Don't look back, make a new choice. I give a clear reflection, it comes from my heart, and then I question it. Why are you questioning it? What you give in each moment has complete validity. And if you need to grow from your reflection, because you see, oh, I do that. You know, when you're talking to someone, and then you start thinking, oh, I do that. That's when you change. You have to always remember you're talking to yourself. Always remember that. I'm talking to myself. And if it doesn't resonate, good. It's clean. Yeah?
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.